2 feet of snow in 72 hours. Not next month. Not next week. Starting Wednesday night. And if you're one of the 200,000 people watching from the Carolinas right now thinking, yeah, right, we never get snow, stay with me, because what's coming in week 3 of January could finally change that. But first, we need to talk about what's happening in the next 48 hours that's going to set everything in motion. December 30th, 2025. New Year's Eve, and the atmosphere is about to do something it hasn't done in 7 years. I want to ask you to do something that's going to help me make this forecast more useful for you specifically. If you could take just a moment to leave a comment with your city and state, I'm going to use that information at the 5-minute mark to share custom forecasts for the top 50 most commented locations. So your area gets included in that detailed breakdown if you let me know where you're watching from. Just city and state, whenever you get a chance. Here's what's unfolding right now across the country. And I need you to understand this, because what happens in the next 3 days determines what happens for the next 3 weeks. Across California tonight, clouds are lowering. Not just any clouds. These are moisture-laden clouds connected to a Pacific system that's going to dump 1 to 2 feet of snow in the Sierra Nevada mountains by Thursday. Lake Tahoe is about to get buried. Mammoth Mountain, same story. This is the 4th atmospheric river event in 3 weeks. 4 in 3 weeks. The ground in California is saturated. Mudslide risk is critical. If you're in areas that saw heavy rain 2 weeks ago, you need to be watching this closely over the next 48 hours. But here's what most forecasters aren't telling you. This isn't just a California story. This Pacific moisture is the first domino. By Thursday, this system pushes into the Rockies. By Friday, it interacts with Arctic air that's flooding down from Canada. And that interaction is what sets up everything that follows. Let me show you the Arctic air first, because this is where it gets serious. Northern Canada right now, 70 below zero wind chills. 70 below. That's not a typo. That air mass is connected to a low-pressure system over Hudson Bay that's down to 952 millibars. For reference, a Category 3 hurricane is typically around 945 millibars. This is a monster low, and it's pulling Arctic air straight down into the United States. By Thursday morning, New Year's Day, parts of Minnesota are going to see wind chills in the -20s. By Friday, that cold spreads into Wisconsin and Michigan, -10 to -20 degree wind chills. At -20, exposed skin can get frostbite in 10 minutes. This is not, it's chilly, put on a jacket cold. This is you can die if you're not prepared cold. God gave us the intelligence to prepare and the wisdom to take shelter. Use both. Now, here's where most weather channels would stop. They'd show you the cold, show you some snow, and call it a day. But I promised you at the beginning that what's coming in week 3 of January could change things for the Carolinas, for Virginia, for areas that almost never see significant snow. So let me connect the dots for you, because this is all related. We have a blocking pattern setting up. High pressure over Greenland. High pressure that's not moving. When you get blocking like this, weather systems can't flow normally from west to east. They get stuck. They slow down. They intensify. This blocking pattern is going to dominate the first 2 weeks of January. And here's what that means practically. Week 1, January 1st through 7th. Cold locks in across the east. Not just cold for a day or two. Cold that persists. Great Lakes, Ohio Valley, Northeast, Mid-Atlantic, all of you are looking at temperatures running 10 to 20 degrees below normal for a solid week. During that week, we're going to see clipper systems. These are fast-moving Alberta clippers coming out of Canada. They don't bring huge snow totals, but they bring enough. 2 to 4 inches here, 3 to 6 inches there. It adds up. Chicago, you're going to see multiple events. Milwaukee, same story. Grand Rapids, Detroit, Cleveland, Columbus, Pittsburgh, you're all in the path of these clippers. But here's the thing nobody's talking about. While those clippers are hitting the Midwest and Northeast, the South stays dry. Texas, you're watching this thinking great, more cold and dry weather we don't need. Oklahoma, Louisiana, same thought. You need rain. You're not getting it in week 1. Your grass is turning brown. Your ponds are low. Fire danger is elevated. I know, week 1 doesn't help you. But stay with me, because week 3 does. At the 3-minute 20-second mark, I'm going to show you the exact date range when the pattern flips and moisture finally reaches you. But first, You need to understand what's happening in Week 2, because that's the transition. Week 2, January 8th through 15th. This is where the models have been flip-flopping, and I'm going to be straight with you about this. 3 days ago, the models showed one thing. Yesterday, they showed something completely different. Today, they've shifted again. Why? Blocking patterns are inherently difficult to forecast beyond about 5 days. Small changes in the position of that Greenland high create huge differences downstream. The models are trying to figure out exactly where that high sets up and how strong it becomes. Every 6 hours, new data comes in. Every 6 hours, the forecast adjusts. Here's what I can tell you with confidence. Week 2 features a moderating temperature trend for the east. Not warm like Christmas week was, but milder than Week 1. Instead of 10 to 20 below normal, you're looking at near normal to maybe 5 degrees below normal. During that moderation, we're going to see storm systems. The models consistently show storm potential around January 8th through 10th. Where those storms track, how strong they become, that's what keeps changing. But the pattern supports storms. Ohio Valley, Northeast, you're looking at potential for accumulating snow during that time frame. Now, here's where it gets really interesting. And this is the information you actually came here for. Week 3, January 15th through 23rd. The blocking pattern shifts. That Greenland high strengthens and moves position. When it does, it creates a trough, an area of low pressure that extends all the way down into the southern United States. When you get a trough that deep, two things happen. First, Arctic air floods south. Not just into the Great Lakes and Ohio Valley, all the way into the deep south. Second, the southern jet stream activates. That's the jet stream branch that brings moisture up from the Gulf of Mexico. Arctic air plus Gulf moisture equals snow. For areas that normally don't see it. That's the setup that's showing up for Week 3. Texas, this is your window. Panhandle, you could see significant snow. DFW, you could see a mix. Houston, you're marginal, but it's possible. And even if it stays too warm for snow in Houston, you'd get rain, which is what you desperately need anyway. Oklahoma, Arkansas, Tennessee, northern Mississippi, northern Alabama, northern Georgia, the Carolinas, Virginia, all of you are in the potential impact zone for Week 3. Not guaranteed. The models are too far out to make promises. But the pattern is there. Someone watching from western North Carolina right now is thinking, yeah, I'll believe it when I see it. I get it. You've been watching these forecasts all winter hoping for snow. Week 1 doesn't give it to you. Week 2 probably doesn't either. But Week 3, the setup is there. And if it verifies, you're not looking at a dusting. You're looking at plowable snow. Now, I promised you at the 5-minute mark I'd share custom forecasts for the top 50 most commented locations. If you haven't had a chance to comment with your city and state yet, feel free to do that now so your area gets included in this breakdown. Let me start with the areas I'm seeing the most comments from. Buffalo, New York. You're in lake effect heaven right now. The bands off Lake Erie are setting up perfectly for you. Wednesday into Thursday, you're looking at another 12 to 18 inches in the primary snow belt south of the city. This is on top of what you've already gotten. Roof load is a concern. Wet, heavy snow adds up fast. If you've got an older roof or a flat roof, consider getting someone out there to assess it. Syracuse, Watertown, Tug Hill Plateau. Lake Ontario is your snow machine. Northwest winds are going to persist through Thursday. You're looking at 2 to 3 feet of additional accumulation in the heaviest bands. Travel is not advised. Visibility in the bands drops to near zero. If you absolutely must travel, emergency kit in your car. Blanket, food, water, shovel, flashlight, phone charger. If you get stuck, that kit saves your life. Erie, Pennsylvania. You're getting hammered from Lake Erie. 18 to 30 inches through Thursday. Downtown Erie won't see quite that much, but areas just south and east of the city, you're in the bullseye. Chicago, Rockford, northern Illinois. You've got a quick-hitting system Wednesday afternoon into evening. Not a major storm, but enough to make the evening commute rough. 2 to 4 inches possible, with briefly heavier rates that could drop visibility quickly. Leave work early, if you can. Fort Wayne, Lafayette, Indianapolis. Same system hits you Wednesday evening. Northern Indiana sees the most, 3 to 5 inches possible. Indianapolis, you're on the southern edge, maybe 2 to 3 inches. Roads will be slick for the evening commute. Detroit, Grand Rapids. Lake effect off Lake Michigan gives you ongoing snow through Thursday. Not the massive totals that Buffalo and Erie are seeing, but steady accumulation, 3 to 6 inches in the lake effect belts, less outside the belts. Now, areas that are asking about snow but not seeing it in the next few days: Raleigh, Charlotte, Greensboro, North Carolina, Piedmont. The next week doesn't favor you. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. Clipper systems that hit the Midwest and Northeast track too far north to give you anything. You stay cold and dry. But here's what you need to watch. Week 3, January 15th through 23rd. If the pattern verifies the way it's showing now, that's your window. Gulf moisture tracking north, cold air in place. That's the classic Carolina snow setup. Timing is too uncertain to give you specifics, but the pattern is there. Western North Carolina. You're in better shape than the Piedmont because of elevation. Any system that brings moisture, elevation helps you. You'll likely see accumulating snow before the Piedmont does, probably within the next 10 to 14 days. Richmond, Virginia Beach, Norfolk. Same story as the Carolinas. Week 1 doesn't help you. Week 3 shows potential. Central Pennsylvania, you're in a better position. You're close enough to the Clipper tracks that you can pick up accumulation from systems that don't make it to the Carolinas. Next week shows a couple opportunities for a few inches here and there. Texas. Let me break this down by region because it matters. Panhandle. You're looking at cold and dry through week 2. Week 3 is when you get your chance. The trough that brings cold that far south could bring you significant snow. 6 to 12 inches is possible if it sets up right. Too far out for specifics, but it's showing up consistently. DFW, Oklahoma City, Wichita, you're in the mix for week 3 as well. Could be snow, could be ice, could be a mix. Depends on the exact temperature profile. But you'd get moisture, which even if it's rain you need. Houston, Austin, San Antonio. You're marginal for snow, but not impossible. If it stays too warm, you get rain. If cold air is stronger than forecast, you could see snow. Week 3 is the time frame. Lubbock, Amarillo, you're well positioned for week 3 snow. You're close enough to the cold air source and elevated enough that you'd likely see snow rather than rain or mix. West Texas, you mentioned no rain and desperate for moisture. I hear you. The land is dry. The ponds are low. It's been a difficult stretch, but week 3 is your hope. Pacific moisture from the west combines with Gulf moisture from the south. That's a recipe for widespread precipitation across Texas. Isaiah 55:10 tells us, "As the rain and the snow come down from heaven and do not return to it without watering the earth and making it bud and flourish, so that it yields seed for the sower and bread for the eater, the rain will come, the pattern will shift." Hold on to that hope. Louisiana, you need rain badly. Week 3 pattern should bring it. Whether it's rain or freezing rain depends on how cold it gets. Northern Louisiana could see ice. Southern Louisiana likely sees rain. Arkansas, similar story, you're desperate for moisture. Week 3 brings opportunities. Denver and the Front Range. I know you're frustrated. Mountains are getting buried. You're staying warm and dry. The jet stream is positioned north of you, keeping storms away. That doesn't change in week 1 or week 2. Week 3, when the pattern shifts, you get your chance. Jet stream dips south. Storms track over you instead of north of you. Late January could be active for you, but not the next 2 weeks. Phoenix, Las Vegas, lower elevation southwest. You're getting rain Wednesday into Thursday from the Pacific system. Not huge amounts, but measurable. Phoenix, maybe a third to half an inch. Vegas, similar. Seattle, Portland, Pacific Northwest. You're in an active pattern all month. Rain for the lowlands, snow for the mountains. This continues through all of January. You're not getting the Arctic air that the East is getting, but you're getting Pacific moisture regularly. Salt Lake City, you're getting snow from this system. Wednesday into Thursday, 4 to 8 inches in the valleys, more in the mountains. This is good for you. You need the snowpack. Boise, Spokane, inland northwest. You're colder than the coast, which means more of your precipitation comes as snow. Next week features multiple chances for accumulation. Now, let me talk about something that affects everyone, regardless of where you are: wind chill, and what it actually means for safety. Wind chill is not just a number, it's a measure of how quickly your body loses heat. At 0 degrees with no wind, you can be outside for a while if you're dressed properly. At 0 degrees with 30-mile-per-hour winds, you're looking at a wind chill of -19. At -19, frostbite can occur on exposed skin in 30 minutes. At -30, frostbite in 10 minutes. At -50, frostbite in 5 minutes. Minnesota, parts of Wisconsin, and Michigan, you're going to see -20 to -30 wind chills Thursday and Friday. This is legitimately dangerous. Exposed skin, frostbite happens fast. Dress in layers. Cover everything. If you're outside for more than a few minutes, you need full winter gear. Base layer, insulation layer, wind-blocking outer layer, face covered, hands covered, no exposed skin. And here's something people don't think about: your car. If you break down in -20-degree wind chills, your car becomes a survival shelter. Do you have blankets in your car? Do you have food and water? Do you have a way to charge your phone? If you don't, you need to get those things before Wednesday. Every winter, people die because they weren't prepared. Their car goes off the road in a snowstorm. They think I'll just wait for help. But help doesn't come quickly in a snowstorm. If you're stuck for 6 hours, 12 hours, in negative wind chills without supplies, that's how tragedies happen. If you're going to be driving in areas where this weather is hitting, I really want to encourage you to make sure you have an emergency car kit. What I mean by that is blanket or sleeping bag, food and water for 24 hours, flashlight, first aid kit, phone charger that's battery-powered, shovel, and sand or kitty litter for traction. I know it seems like a lot, but if you keep these things in your car from November through March, you're prepared for the worst-case scenario. Proverbs 22:3 tells us, "The prudent see danger and take refuge, but the simple keep going and pay the penalty." Being prepared isn't living in fear, it's being wise. Now, let me address something I know some of you are thinking. Why should I trust this forecast when models keep changing? Fair question. Here's the answer. For the next 3 days, the forecast is reliable. I can tell you with high confidence what's going to happen Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. The models agree. The pattern is clear. For days 4 through 7, the forecast is good, not perfect, but good. General pattern is right. Specific details might shift a bit. For days 8 through 14, we're looking at pattern ideas. The overall setup is probably right, but specific timing and intensity can change significantly. Beyond 14 days, it's pattern possibilities. I'm showing you what could happen, not what will definitely happen. The reason I show you the extended outlook is so you can prepare. Not so you can plan around specific dates, but so you know what's possible. If I tell you week 3 has snow potential for the Carolinas, that doesn't mean you should plan a snow day for January 19th. It means you should be aware that the pattern could support it, and as we get closer, we'll have better details. Weather forecasting has improved dramatically over the last 20 years. But it's not perfect. We see through a glass dimly, as 1 Corinthians 13:12 reminds us. We know in part, we forecast in part. Small changes in atmospheric conditions create big changes in outcomes, especially with blocking patterns like we have now. What I can promise you is honesty. When I'm confident, I'll tell you. When I'm uncertain, I'll tell you that too. And I'll always explain why. Now, week 4 of January, January 23rd through 31st. This is where it gets really interesting. The models are showing a pattern with high pressure building across Alaska, northern Canada, and Greenland. Almost a horseshoe shape. Under that horseshoe, lower pressure across the lower 48. Historically, that pattern brings sustained cold and active storm tracks, not just for the east. For much of the country. If this verifies, and that's a big if because we're talking 3 to 4 weeks out, but if it verifies, late January could be the most active winter period we've seen this season. Multiple storms, significant cold, snow extending well into areas that don't normally see it. Ohio Valley, Northeast, you'd be in prime position for multiple significant events. Plains, you'd see activity. South, you'd see storms, some of which could bring significant winter weather depending on temperature profiles. Again, 3 weeks out, details will change. But the pattern idea is there. Let me bring this back to practical planning. Next 3 days. If you're in the Great Lakes or Northeast, prepare for snow. Stock up if you haven't. If you're traveling, build in extra time. If you're in the South or West, This doesn't affect you much yet. Next week, January 1st through 7th. Eastern 2/3 of the country, cold dominates. Some snow events, mostly light, travel should be okay if you're careful. Western 3rd, mild, some rain for California and Pacific Northwest. Week 2, January 8th through 15th. Temperature moderate slightly. Storm systems possible. Details uncertain. Check forecast frequently if you have plans. Week 3, January 15th through 23rd. Pattern shift. South and southern mid-Atlantic. This is your window for winter weather. Cold and moisture line up. Texas, Oklahoma, Louisiana, Arkansas, Tennessee, Carolinas, Virginia, all potential impact zones. Week 4, January 23rd through 31st. Potentially the most active winter period of the season. Multiple storm systems, sustained cold. Everyone should be prepared. Now, here's something nobody talks about but matters tremendously: pattern memory. When you get a blocking pattern like this, especially one that persists for 2 to 3 weeks, the atmosphere tends to remember it. Even after the block breaks down, you often see it try to rebuild a week or two later. If we get sustained blocking through most of January, there's a decent chance we see another bout of it in February. Which would mean February could be colder and snowier than normal as well. I'm not forecasting February yet. It's too far out. But I'm telling you, the atmospheric setup we're seeing favors continued winter weather through midwinter, not just early January. Spiritually, there's something to be said about winter. It's a season that tests us. It reveals character. When things are easy, when it's 70 degrees and sunny, anyone can be pleasant. But when it's negative wind chills and you're shoveling snow for the 3rd time in a week, that's when you see what people are made of. Are you the neighbor who checks on the elderly couple next door when it's bitter cold? Are you the person who helps push someone's car out of a snowbank even though you're late? Or are you the person who stays inside and complains? Winter brings out both the best and worst in people. I pray it brings out the best in you. In Matthew 25, Jesus tells us, "Whatever you did for one of the least of these brothers and sisters of mine, you did for me." That elderly neighbor who might need help shoveling, that stranded motorist who needs a push, these are opportunities to live out our faith in practical ways. Matthew 6:25 through 27. Therefore, I tell you, do not worry about your life, what you will eat or drink, or about your body, what you will wear. Is not life more than food, and the body more than clothes? Look at the birds of the air. They do not sow or reap or store away in barns, and yet your heavenly Father feeds them. Are you not much more valuable than they? Can any one of you by worrying add a single hour to your life? We prepare, we plan, we take precautions, but we don't panic. God is in control. Winter comes, winter goes, spring always follows. Before I wrap up, I want to ask for your help with a couple of things that would really make a difference. If you found this forecast helpful, I'd genuinely appreciate it if you could click that like button. The way YouTube's algorithm works, videos with more likes get shown to more people in your area, so that one click from you could help your neighbors get this information and be prepared for what's coming. If you haven't subscribed to this channel yet, I really hope you'll consider doing that. This pattern is evolving on a daily basis, which means I'm going to be posting updates regularly. Subscribing is the easiest way to make sure you don't miss important information as conditions change. And there's a notification bell next to the subscribe button that you can turn on if you want to be alerted immediately whenever I post an update. And one more thing I'd really encourage you to do. Think about the people in your life who might need this information. Maybe you have an elderly relative who doesn't follow weather news very closely. Maybe you have a friend who has a long commute and needs to know what road conditions are going to be like. Maybe you just know someone who tends not to pay attention until it's too late. If you could share this forecast with them, that would be incredibly helpful. The information I'm sharing here only makes a difference if people actually see it. And if you haven't had a chance to comment with your city and state yet, I'd love to hear from you. It helps me understand who's watching and what areas need the most detailed information going forward. Let me recap the most important numbers you should keep in mind from this forecast. Buffalo and Erie are looking at 2 feet of snow through Thursday. Minnesota and Wisconsin are going to see negative 20-degree wind chills on Thursday and Friday. Week 3, which is January 15th through 23rd, is when we're expecting that major pattern shift that could bring winter weather to the south. And Week 4, January 23rd through 31st, has the potential to be the most active winter period we've seen this entire season. And here's your teaser for the next video. Wednesday evening, I'm posting an update on that system moving through the Midwest and how the lake effect bands are setting up for overnight Wednesday into Thursday. If you're in the path, you need that information. It could change your Thursday plans. I really appreciate you taking the time to watch this forecast. Please stay safe out there, stay warm, and may God bless you and keep you and your family through this winter season. As Psalm 121 tells us, He will not let your foot slip. He who watches over you will not slumber. You're in good hands. I'll see you in the next update.